Hello and welcome. My name is Patricia Calixte, aka Patty Pass Toastmasters Journey. I have a question for you. Have you ever had a conversation with someone who was trying to give you some advice, but they just rubbed you the wrong way? You know they likely meant well, but their delivery just made you want to shut down. If that's the case, you'll want to hear my 8 tips on how to give advice effectively in the next few minutes. I'll also be sharing my own tip, and I hope it can add value to your life. I hope you find this helpful, and see you later. For everyone else, hello. Look, if you want to help people around you, you'll be in situations where you have to share advice with them based on your own lessons learned. And also for yourself, if you want to grow and come out from your comfort zone, you need to be prepared to receive advice from others around you who have more experience. But I feel like this exchange can't happen any which way. We can't just show up and start preaching and speaking our mind. I feel like there should be some kind of process or steps to follow. And this is why I'll be sharing 8 tips on how to share advice effectively based on my own life experience. Let's start at the beginning. Tip number 1, make sure you have good timing. Is the person you're trying to share a tip with hungry, cranky? Did they have their coffee yet? Visualize this. You're in the middle of cooking an appetizing meal to satisfy that hunger, and someone shows up. It could be a loved one trying to make a recommendation, or it could be a telemarketer trying to offer you a service or a product that you may actually need. But because that person failed to ask you if the timing was correct, they failed to ask you, is this a good time to talk? Do you have 10 minutes to hear how I can save you $60 every month? Now they don't stand a chance because they didn't check the timing. So when you're in that situation, make sure you find out. And if it's not the right time, find out when would be a good time. That way you'll be increasing your odds of getting a positive outcome. Tip number 2, find out if the person is open to receive your feedback. Unsolicited advice often leads someone to feeling annoyed or resentful. For example, if someone is sharing marital difficulties with you, perhaps you should ask something like, oh, I went through this situation with my partner. Would you like to hear how we resolve this issue? Or do you want some ideas on how you can improve the situation? That way, by asking a question, they have the option of saying no. And if they say yes, then they'll be more receptive to receiving your feedback because they will have agreed to hear you out. Tip number 3, stop and listen to them. Often when someone is seeking advice, what they really want or need is to go off on a rant or just blow off some steam. So what you can do is put away the electronics, give them your undivided attention. Don't interrupt them. Don't jump to conclusion. Try to maintain eye contact with them the entire time. Don't get distracted by the cute dog or the cute human passing by. And just listen before you proceed to giving your advice. Tip number 4, ask clarifying questions. Usually, advice seekers are not looking for problem solving. They're looking for understanding. It's difficult to view a situation clearly when you're tangled up emotionally in a mess. By you listening carefully and asking clarifying questions, you can help them analyze their situations and come to their own conclusions. What I like to do when people come to me for advice is, I sound like a broken record, but I tell them to take a blank sheet of paper and write pros and cons, write it all out. Or I tell them to grab a journal and just journal about it. Just put all their thoughts down. Because it's something very powerful when you can read your thoughts. Often it just validates what you already know yourself. So it's a very powerful tool. Tip number 5, provide your advice in a constructive and positive way. Always use the sandwich method. I don't know who invented it, but essentially it starts with something positive or encouraging, then place in your feedback or your advice, and then end with something else that's positive and empowering. I've noticed over the years that whenever I switched up that order, it didn't go so well for me. So make sure you stick to the sandwich method. And a very small anecdote on the subject. I recently spoke to a friend of mine that's a business owner, and he was asking me, I don't know, I'm really struggling. I'm not getting a very good return from some clients, and I don't understand why that person is just not responding to me. So I said, you know what, just send me that email. I'll see what, I'm visual, so send it to me. That friend sent me that email, and then I saw that essentially, let me put it nicely. He was essentially telling the prospect, look, I took a look at your website and you suck. You need me really badly. So here's what you need to do. Bam, 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 bam. And then he was wondering why the person wasn't getting back to him. I said, no, friend, that's not no. What you need to do is start with what they're doing well. Find something. There must be something he's doing well. So show that you're doing your homework and that you're encouraging them, or that you're seeing what they're doing well. Then place in your advice and how your business can bring value to them, and then end with something else that's positive. You can't just tell somebody that, oh, you suck, hire me. It doesn't work like that. So that friend was very appreciative with that tip. So here's why I'm sharing it with you. Tip number 6, do not judge. When someone comes to you for help, chances are they're already feeling pretty vulnerable and low. They're trusting you to listen to them without being judgmental or condescending. Whatever you do, please avoid saying things like, you should have done this, or why didn't you do that? We don't know the person's journey and what happened to them. And we've all lacked judgment at some point in our life. I'll be the first one to raise my hand to that. Be gentle and share your tools to elevate and empower them, not to demolish them. Either way it goes, what's done is done, and it cannot be undone. Focus on what they can do, change, or control right now going forward. And all there is to do at this point is surrender to God or whatever higher power you believe in. Tip number 7, recommend helpful content. A good book, a YouTube video, social media content, a message, a podcast that can help. No one has all the answers. You can help your friends simply by putting them in the direction of a tool that helps you overcome an issue and that will help them help themselves. It's as simple as saying something like, I came across something that might help you put things into perspective. And that's it. Tip number 8, know your limitations. If you care about the person's well-being, be honest about your limitations in giving them advice. Tell them about your own life experience, sure. But if possible, refer them to someone whom you believe can be a better advisor, such as a therapist, a psychologist, a professional coach, or just anyone who you feel has the required qualifications in the Toastmasters world. The tip of the day is an opportunity for a speaker to share their personal experiences or share some public speaking tips that help them or ways to cope with stress. They can use quotes, personal experiences with lessons learned, tips from people they know or famous people. When I mustered enough courage to go from the 30 seconds joke to something a little bit bigger, the 2-minute tip of the day was the next level for me. And it helped me build up enough courage to actually start my presentation mastery pathway and give 5 to 7 minute speeches. I'm about to share a tip of the day that I shared at my club, Words on Wings. And I also added 2 recent anecdotes to support the message. Please leave a message below and let me know if you like those tips, if it was helpful to you or not. And if it's not already done, hit subscribe and notify so that you can get, you'll be aware whenever I share my content next week. Let's hear it. The poet Maya Angelou once said, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Dear friends, your tip of the day is who cares and so what? Although he did not come up with those questions himself, those are tips that I came across while reading the book, Don't Drop the Mic. The Power of Your Words Can Change the World, by a very well-seasoned speaker that I love to hear, TD Jakes. Let's jump right in. Number 1, who cares? Identifying our audience and keeping them in mind while preparing our speech is paramount for maximum impact. If my speech was written for programmers, but I deliver it for gardeners, the poor folks won't care. And number 2, so what? There should also be something worth saying, the core of our message that brings some added value to the audience. If I'm speaking to a group of married retirees about the wonders of online dating, I don't think I'm going to hit the mark. Well, I'm not supposed to. To wrap it up, I suspect we cannot reach them all. Like, my message is not for everyone, and that's okay. But we can do our best to ensure that our future listeners will find our message valuable, practical, and personally relevant in some way. And that they will not ask themselves the questions, who cares and so what, when we drop our microphone. My YouTube channel is very small in the moment, which is a blessing while I'm trying to figure everything out. So my family, my friends are mainly the ones watching my content in the moment. If you saw a video I posted a few weeks ago called Moments of Laughter, then you saw my 2 jokes that I shared. While speaking with my brother, I asked him, hey bro, did you watch my last video? Which joke did you prefer, the first one or the second one? To which he responded, I didn't find any of them funny. In fact, I thought the second one was disgusting. So then I responded, not one of them, not even just a little? And he go, nope. And you know, I love you, Pat, and I got your back and I'm there for you. But if you weren't my sister, I would have never watched the video until the end. Never. So my first reaction was like, oh, thank you, bro. You really must love me. But then I thought, wait a minute, that's not good. I need to do something about that. To my relief, the following video, the 8 tips on how to give a great toast, to that one, my brother said, now you're talking, sis. I was entertained the entire time. If this video popped up on my feed and I didn't know you, I would have watched it until the end just to hear the 8th tip and even to hear you make a toast. So my little voice inside of me was saying, yes, I made it. Woo! I had initially decided to only share my Toastmaster speeches on this YouTube channel. But then I quickly realized that till I prepare the speech, rehearse it a lot, go to my club, get their feedback, integrate it, practice some more, then record the video, edit it. It takes a lot of time. We're talking a month and a half. So without me having anything to share with you. So then I came up with the idea of sharing the Toastmasters Roll series to help whoever would be interested in overcoming their fear of public speaking and that would want to come visit a club. That would give them at least a better idea of what we do in the club. But then what my brother made me realize is that by narrowing my message only to those people that would be interested, I was losing all the other ones that don't have time or are not able to join Toastmasters for whatever reason, but they still want to get some tips on how they can improve their communication skills in their life. When I shared this with my lovely daughter, she said, I know you, Mama. You set up your mind to share whatever you wanted to share with the people and you didn't care if they needed or wanted to hear it. And that really struck a chord with me, and I want to like strangle her. It's always infuriating when you know your child is right. So I've resolved to only share content that I think you want to hear, that is relevant right now in your lives, whether or not you want to join or visit a club in the future. I want you to not only follow my journey, but I want you to be on this journey with me and learn as I'm learning so we can both grow together. I hope you found this content helpful. And let me know what you liked, what you feel I can improve in the comments below. Also, if you have ideas and content you'd like to see in between my speeches, please let me know as well. And if you know anyone who can benefit from this information, share the love. Thank you so much, and see you in the next video.